So you said this is a certification. So how does the certification process work? I'm a company, I have a contract that says I need CMMC Level 2. How do I approach that? What would be the normal approach?
Yeah, so you would create your scope. So the contractor they're the ones that are defining their scope. And when I say scope, I mean assets. So it's kind of the tangible and intangible assets. So your systems and your different items that are storing, processing, or transmitting that information, that's CUI. And then there is the intangible assets, the people, processes, and different things that come into play that are also dealing with that CUI. So anything that's really touching that CUI has to be part of that scope. And once you sort of ascertain what your scope is and develop your boundary, then you would contract with a Cyber AB-accredited C3PAO. So somebody like Shellman would come in, and there's a couple different phases to the process. The first phase is sort of phase one, and this is all laid out in a document called the CMMC assessment process. But essentially, there'd be a initial assessment where the C3PAO would review your documentation, like your system security plan, your network diagram, your policies and procedures, things like that. And then they would develop something called a pre-assessment form. So this is sort of outlining what your scope is, what your different cage codes that tie your entity to those contracts. That's kind of what's encompassing your organization, and that would be the first part that is submitted to eMASS. So that is the system the government is using to track these certifications. So once you kind of go through that first phase, you go to the second phase, which is the actual field work and the actual assessment with the C3PAO. So that is where we would conduct our field work, do our assessment, run through your evidence, interview SMEs, things like that. And then post 2 assessment, you would get a determination of whether you have achieved your certificate. So that could be a conditional or a final, or you haven't. And unfortunately, that's kind of the two different paths.